Hello friends, welcome to ENTRANCEADVISER.com. In this video, I am going to focus on the female reproductive system in humans. Before that, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get all the notification as we upload a new video. So let's start. What parts make up the female anatomy? Before that, you need to know this. Have you ever given a thought to how a baby is born? How does it come out into the real world? In order to understand all this, it is important to first gain knowledge about the female reproductive system in an elaborate manner. Let's study about this very system that makes females a child bearer. So, what is the importance of the female reproductive system? The primary function of the female reproductive system is to produce the female egg cells which are essential for reproduction. These are called as ova or oocytes. It is important to know that the entire system is designed for transporting the ova to the exact fertilization site. Further, the fertilization process of an egg after interaction with the sperm usually happens in the fallopian tubes. The latter phase of the fertilized egg is associated with getting rooted into the uterus walls. This is counted as the beginning of the early stages of the pregnancy. In case of fertilization or implantation doesn't occur, the system is aimed to menstruate. Moreover, the female reproductive system is responsible for producing the female sex hormones which maintain the reproductive cycle. So, the female reproductive system is designed to carry out several functions. It produces the female egg necessary for the reproduction called the ova or oocytes, as I said. And this system is designed to transfer the ova to the site of fertilization. Conception, the fertilization of an egg by the sperm normally occurs in the fallopian tubes. We will be seeing this in a few moments. What are these? And the next step for the fertilized egg is to implant into the walls of the uterus, beginning the initial stages of the pregnancy. If fertilization or implantation does not take place, the system is designed to menstruate and the monthly shedding of the uterine lining. In addition, the female reproductive system produces the female sex hormones that maintain the female reproductive cycle. So, what parts make up the female anatomy? The female reproductive organs contains two ovaries or oocytes, the immature egg, which produces the sex hormones, and two oviducts conduct the oocyte from the ovary to the uterus. Fertilization occurs in the oviducts, and the uterus, the chamber for the developing the fetus, endometrial lining, cervix, opening of the uterus, secretes the mucus that facilitates the sperm and block the bacteria. And the vagina, or the organ of the sexual intercourse, or the birth canal, and at last the clitoris, the sex organ responsive to the stimulation. Coming to the labia majora, first of all, you need to know that the female reproductive anatomy includes the parts inside and outside the body. The function of the external female reproductive structures, the genitals, is twofold: to enable the sperm to enter the body and to protect the internal genital organs from the infectious organisms. The main external structures of the reproductive systems includes the first of all the labia majora. What is this? In this diagram, it is clearly visible that this and this portion is the labia majora. The labia majora enclose and protect the external reproductive organs, actually, literally translated as large lips. It is also called the large lips. The labia majora are relatively large and fleshy and are comparable to the scrotum in the males. Okay, you got it? In the previous class, I have discussed about what is the scrotum. The labia majora contain the sweat and oil secreting glands. After puberty, the labia majora are covered with a hair. So, the function are it protects and encloses the other outside reproductive organs. Okay, it is an external organ. The labia majora can be tagged as outside and fleshy and is analogous to the male scrotum. It contains sweat as well as oil secreting glands, as I said. And the labia majora gets covered with the hair right after you hit the puberty. Now, what is labia minora? It is also a external reproductive organ. Literally, the translated as a small leaves. The labia minora can be a very small or up to 2 inches wide. They lie just inside the labia majora and the surrounded by the openings to the vagina, the canal that joins the lower part of the uterus to the outside of the body, the urethra, the tube that carries urine from the bladder to the outside of the body. So you can see this portion is the labia minora. In this picture, it is clearly visible. Okay, this is labia lateral view. This is, and labia majora is this one. This portion, this fleshy portion. In this figure, this portion is labia minus or majora. It is also known as small lips. Okay, and can be translated as small lips and can quite the small to close to 2 centimeters wide. And it is rests just in the interior of the labia majora. It surrounds the primary opening of the vagina and the urethra. Now, coming to the Bartholin's glands. What are these? These glands are located beside the vaginal opening and produce a fluid mucus secretion. So, as we know, this is also an external part of the female reproductive system, and the location of these glands rests beside the vaginal opening and is responsible for the manage and the fluid discharge. This part is Bartholin's gland. The small opening is present, small gland-like openings, ducts are there, and from there secretion occurs, fluid discharge occurs. Okay, and sometimes Bartholin glands cancers is also found. Now, what is clitoris? It is also external part. The two labia minora meet at the clitoris. It is a small, sensitive protrusion that is comparable to the penis in the males. It is homologous to the penis. The clitoris is covered by a fold or the skin called the prepuce. Okay, you need to remember this, which is similar to the foreskin at the end of the penis. Like the penis, the clitoris is very sensitive to the stimulation and can become erect. So both the labia minora encounter at the clitoris, which is a small and delicate protrusion that is analogous to the penis and in the male reproductive system. This part of the female reproductive system is covered by a skin fold termed as prepuce. Okay? Similar to the male penis, the clitoris is sensitive and in stimulus it can be turned into an erect position. Okay? Coming to the internal reproductive organs of the female, or the internal parts of the female reproductive system include the vagina. First of all, it is very important. The vagina is the canal that joins the cervix and the lower parts of the uterus to the outside of the body. It is also known as birth canal, from which the baby comes out from a mother's body or mother's womb. The vagina is a canal which joins the cervix to the external position of the body. Okay, you can even call it a birth canal, as I said. So in this figure you can see this is a vaginal canal. This is a vaginal opening. This position is where the penis enters during the coitus, and this is a more enlarged view where you can see the vaginal opening. Okay, it's very much stretchy. Now coming to the uterus or womb. The uterus is a hollow and pear-shaped organ that is the home to a developing fetus. The uterus is divided into two parts: the cervix, which is the lower part that opens into the vagina, and the main body of the uterus called the corpus. The corpus can easily expand to a hold and developing baby. A channel through the cervix allows the sperm to enter the menstrual blood to exist. So, it is a pear-shaped hollow organ which is a home for the developing fetus. Further, the uterus separates into two parts. As you can see, it is the cervix, it is also a part of a uterus, and the corpus. It's not shown in this picture though, and the corpus easily enlarges for holding up a developing body. This part is known as corpus. Okay. Now the ovaries. Ovaries are the oval-shaped glands which are the small and are located on the both sides of the uterus. Ovaries produce hormones and eggs. So the ovaries are small glands located here. As you can see, this is an ovary. This is ovary. Um, and This picture gives a clear idea that ovary matures here and travels from here in the fallopian tube and implants here, here, and here. And if the fertilization does not take place, it discharges through the vagina as a uterine endometrium. And sometimes it's a very common problem in today's world, in today's daily life, that is PCOD, polycystic ovarian disorder, which is a normal ovary, and you can see this is a polycystic ovary. Number of cysts or tumors are accumulated, and they grow over time if not treated in a correct time. Okay. And other, there are many causes of ovarian pain. These are menstruation, early pregnancy, etc. You don't need to know this in detail. So the fallopian tubes, what are these? These are the narrow tubes that are attached to the upper part of the uterus and serve as the tunnels for the ova the egg cells to travel from the ovaries to the uterus. The conception, the fertilization of an egg by the sperm normally occurs in these fallopian tubes only. The fertilized egg then moves to the uterus where it implants into the lining of the uterine wall. So these are the narrow tubes which attach to the upper portion of the uterus. This is the upper portion of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes act as tunnels for the egg walls, as I said, and therefore they transfer the egg cells from the ovaries to the uterus. And in this fallopian tube, there are several sections which are divided, which are named as infundibulum. This place is known as infundibulum. This portion is known as ampulla. This portion is known as isthmus, and this is intramural. Okay. Now, breast is also a important organ. As we know, it is an accessory sexual organ, and we know that vagina, apart from the vagina and other internal organs, you see the mammary glands play an important role for the lactating mother and for the fetus and for the newborn baby. It is a paired structures and containing the glandular tissues and fats, and amount of fat varies from person to person. The glandular tissue of each breast is divided into 15 to 20 mammary lobes containing the clusters of the cells. And the cells of the alveoli secrete milk, which is the stored in, and the cavity is called the lumens of the alveoli. The alveoli open into mammary tubules, and the tubules of each join to form a mammary duct, which joins to form a wider mammary ampulla. And the mammary ampulla is connected to the lactiferous ducts from which the milk is sucked out. So the mammary gland is a gland located in the breast of the female that is responsible for the lactation or the production of the milk. Both males and females have the glandular tissue within the breast. However, in females, the glandular tissues begin to develop after the puberty hits in the response to the estrogen release. So the mammary glands only produce milk after the childbirth only. During pregnancy, the hormones progesterone and prolactin are released. The progesterone interferes the prolactin, preventing the mammary glands from the lactating. During this time, the small amounts of a pre-milk substance called the colostrum are produced. This liquid is rich in antibodies and nutrients to sustain an infant during the first few days of the life. After the childbirth, the progesterone levels decrease and the levels of prolactin remains raised. This signals the mammary glands to begin lactating. Each time a baby is breastfed, the milk is emptied from the breast. Immediately afterward, the mammary glands are signaled to continue producing milk. As the woman approaches menopause, the time of when the menstruation stops, the tissues of the ductile and system becomes fibrous and degenerate, causing the evolution or shrinkage of the mammary gland, and thereafter the gland loses the ability to produce the milk. And so, as you can see that this is nipple, and this is lactiferous tubules and the lactiferous ducts, and this is lobules of the mammary glands, and These are alveolus, and this is subcutaneous tissue, and pectoralis minors and pectoralis minor, and fourth intercostal cells, as you can see. So there are few points that I must say which are also necessary for your for covering your syllabus. That is that about the fallopian tubes. Okay, it is also known as oviduct, and it is 10 to 12 centimeter in length and extends from the periphery of each ovary to the uterus. Okay, the part it is closer to the ovary is funnel shaped, and ephemery are the finger like projections located on the edges of the infundibulum. So ephemery help in collection of the ovum after the ovulation, and the infundibulum leads to the ampulla, which is the wider part of the oviduct, and the last part of the oviduct is called the isthmus. As I said, this portion is isthmus, and which has a narrow lumen, and it joins the uterus, as you can see. And from this portion, the ovaries, there is nothing to learn about ovaries much, and these are the primary female sex organs that produce the ovum and several ovarian hormones, steroid in nature. And it is located. You need to know the location. It is located on the one side of the lower abdomen, and each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma. And the ovarian stroma is divided into two zones: a peripheral cortex and an inner medulla. The oviduct is, I have said about the oviduct. And then coming to the uterus, it is also called the womb, and it is a pear shaped, and the ligaments attached to the pelvic wall supported and the uterus, and the narrow cervix opens the uterus into the vagina. And through the cervical canal in the is the cavity that cervix, which forms the birth canal along with the vagina. So there are three layers of tissues that are present in the uterus wall: the outer thin membrane or the bound perimetrium, middle thick layer of the smooth muscle called the myometrium, okay, and the inner glandular layer called the endometrium. Endometrium lines the uterine cavity only. During the menstrual cycle, the endometrium undergoes the cyclical changes, but the myometrium exhibits strong contraction during the parturition. The external genitalia in the vagina, it's known as the vagina includes the mons pubis, okay, the labia majora and the labia minora, hymen, and the clitoris. The mons pubis is a cushion of the fatty acid. This is the fatty tissues covered by the skin and the pubic hair. As you have seen in the earlier pictures, the labia majora folds of the tissue extend down from the mons pubis and are surrounded by the vaginal opening. And under the labia majora, there are paired tissue folded to form the labia, the monora or the minora, and the hymen is a membrane covering the opening of the vagina. Here the vagina, here the vaginal membrane or the hymen is present. And it is a tiny finger-like structure which appears here, as I've said about the clitoris, which is the most sensitive and stimulating organ or part of the fallopian tube. Okay, and uh, in some parts of the world, the hymen is considered as a signal or sign of the virginity. During the first coitus, it tears on and blood comes out. Apart from this, even if during the first coitus some females do not bleed, but during or in some cases during heavy exercise or such as cycling, stretching, or some accidents, the hymen may turn out. Okay, so I have discussed all these parts in a very detailed manner. Hope you understood all this. So thank you, and follow me in the next videos. So take care and bye bye.